whole different level of partying. Like I
So
said,
I want to
the
stop you
music.
there because
Yes.
one of the comments a little earlier that I was gonna, but since you brought this up, I want to just deal with this comment. Is that in past interviews, because you just described what you're talking about, they said that you said the rock dance came from Black American dances, and what I'm hearing you say right now is that you were doing Black American dances. I guess those are Black American dances.
There were black and brown dances, right? I want to be challenged. It's fun.
Here it
Make
is.
me dig deep.
So there's a question.
Okay.
Mr. Rojas, who was your dance inspiration growing up? Let me just say, I know what he's doing, and he's gonna again. It's this.
Okay. I'll answer it though. Mike Dominguez. Mike Dominguez from 90th Street. That's it. Yeah.
A
Thank
portable.
you for the question.
Okay, next question, Mr.
Out. Let me
But
just
did
finish with
rock
this.
come from that?
No, no.
Okay,
Rock
stop.
came.
Hold on, stop.
Yeah.
I need you to say that again. So you're saying rock did not come from that?
No, no. What rock came from? So what happened was when these juice bars opened up, this music brought out something different in us, right? We connected it to it in a way that nobody else could, white or black. They couldn't connect with this music the way we did. And the reason why we connected to it was because of the salsa diaspora, right? That's the other piece that people don't talk about. We didn't just do rock. We didn't just do hip hop. We didn't just do house. We did salsa. We grew up with that. We
Right.
did merengue. We did cha-cha. Cha-cha was big at that time. So it was a compilation of things that only we had,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in these dances, right, the music was the percussion that
Mm-hmm.
had us move our hips like most people were scared to do, right? The girls did it, but guys wouldn't do it. We
Mm-hmm.
moved our hips, we moved our rib cage,
Mm-hmm.
right? We moved our shoulders, we moved our head. I mean, it was incredible the way we, was able to connect with this music and what we were able to create,
Mm-hmm.
right? This was like I was just looking at my rock dance list. Out. Let me
But
just
did
finish with
rock
this.
come from that?
No, no, rock
Okay, stop.
came.
Hold on, stop.
Yeah.
I need you to say that again. So you're saying rock did not come from that?
No, no. What rock came from? So what happened?
That was a lie. Again, you're turned into the Lion Kings, and then they're not them cats just on Broadway.
Rock really became a street style dance in the discos. They call them discotheques. And that was like in the late, from 71 on. So before that though, they used to do like they had dances on the street that they would, create that went to the songs. Mother Popcorn was probably the biggest one, the most famous song, and that's when it was all about groove. It was funky and it was groovy. So my guess is that they took those steps and they started to add more. and then it started to become rock. Anyone that was good, whether you were in Brooklyn.
I would, listen, the communities were automatically more black than they were brown, right? There was more black people, just the population,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you hear me say, the groove came from the black and brown community. Sometimes I'll say, just say the black community. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, I'm not looking to compare this with that. It's all about identifying for me. And I identified with this groove that came from the neighborhood, right? Came from these dances. Now, what
Did
they don't
uh,
say.
Rock dance, but we're gonna get more into that a little later.
Yeah.
I like to go to the beginning. Where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in the Bronx, Prospect Avenue, 182nd. That's like 2 blocks away from the Bronx Zoo. Um, yeah, I'm born and raised in that neighborhood. In the middle of the hood. We had gangs, we had drugs. The beauty of it was that it was a black and Puerto Rican community. So you had, on my block, I lived in the middle, and on my left was, mostly Puerto Rican, and on my right, on the same block, right, was the black community. So I had the distinct pleasure, and pretty much the honor to be brought up, with both cultures, which influenced me as a person, right? Not just me as a dancer, because, that's where it all started, right on that neighborhood. So I was around. I grew up partying.
So did you grow up like from the as far as you can remember? Did you grow up dancing?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody danced in my house. It was more salsa, right? Merengue, cha-cha. And I dug it, and it was in my DNA. I did it, but I liked what the brothers were doing down the block a lot more.
And so like coming out of your house and just existing in your neighborhood, what did you see from those brothers down the block that
Right,
caught
that
your
that
eye?
attracted me. It was the groove, right? So, we're talking about, 67, 68, 69, right? So, you at that time, there was always a new dance. Like when a song came out, there was a dance that went to the song.
Okay.
So like as far back as I could remember. So even in my house, right? It was salsa, but the Hispanic community came up with an English version of salsa, which they call the Latin boogaloo. So that's the first like American way of dancing for me, right? So the Latin boogaloo, the first dance I learned was called the African twist, right? So and that was a song by Eddie Palmieri. All right. So then after that, I was a good dancer. I could move. So everywhere I went, they, come on, Pop, get down. Right. So my nickname is Papo. That's what they called me on the street. So I remember the first dance I learned was the tighten up. Archie Bell and the Drells. Right. There was the tighten up. I remember the Mother Popcorn.
The
Right?
Mother
The
Popcorn.
Mother Popcorn, James Brown, there was a dance called the Mother Popcorn. That's where all my groove came from.
And who was making these dances up? Were they just being created out of fun from the
Yeah,
community?
from the community.
Okay.
Yeah. Every time a song came out, you know, it made your body do something different. And I don't know who was creating the dances,
Like the
but they
popular
showed up in my house. See, the other thing that's important for me, so when my father was murdered, you know, my
out of the East Coast, you know, you could see rock in all of them.
Yeah. Does the roots of rock dance? What other dances? And we can dig forever, generations back, but the immediate dances leading up that evolved into the rock dance.
Okay, so
what were those popular dances?
Perfect, great question. So to me, it was a combination of things, right? So the black and brown community was together, right? Like I said,
This was the 60s,
yeah,
70s?
This was the 60s. This was, I'd say 67, 68, 69, right? Where certain dances came out and they went to certain songs. So when a song came out, for some reason, I mean, I can't say where exactly it came from, but a dance was created to the song that everybody did. For instance, the song, the Tighten Up, Archie Bell and the Drugs, right? There was a dance called the Tighten Up. A beautiful dance. I knew how to do that dance as a kid. That's the other thing. Because we did salsa at home, I could pick up dances. So the teenagers would, you know, in my neighborhood would show me steps and I'd pick it up. So the Tighten Up was a dance, right? One of the best dances that I ever saw that had all this groove in it was the Mother Popcorn. Right? And that was a song, right? It was the song by James Brown called the Mother Popcorn. You know, the community turned it into a dance. Now we're talking about the street. Now this is stone cold street culture, right? They didn't do this stuff anywhere else. It came from the street. Then there was a host of other dances. There was the hustler, the click clack. Remember, there was a sort of like a toy, a game called the click clack. There was a dance called the click clack. Scorpio, Dennis Coffey came out with a song, right? We had a dance called Scorpio, you know. The Goodfoot, James Brown, again, we had a dance called the Goodfoot. So that was all the late 60s. So it was those dances, though, that had a certain groove, right? Because they were soulful, right? So, but at the same time, now that was the black and brown community together, right? The brown community, the Puerto Ricans, the Boricuas at home was dancing salsa, right? And merengue, right? And the cha-cha was big at that time, right? And we already was doing the Latin boogaloo. So we had this flavor, you know, in us that nobody else had. White, black, I don't care. Nobody had this flavor that we had. So when we hit